I'm Burniston, the designer of Pop-It-Ups products for Elizabeth Craft Designs, and today I'll be teaching how to make this. A hidden Halloween card using the Twist Circle pop-up die. This is my project for the 2nd August 2016 Designer Challenge, which has a theme of Girly or Ghouly, and I decided to put both in this card. Okay, I'm going to start by constructing my outer card. So this is a piece of black cardstock that's 5 inches by 9.5 inches and scored at 6 inches from the right edge. I'm going to add a little piece of pattern paper inside the card out on the right hand side where you'll see it in the closed position and the open position. Then I just need some adhesive on the front of my card and then a piece of acetate, clear material that is the same size as the card. So that's 5 inches by 6 inches, and then I will add pattern paper to the front of the card to cover up my adhesive. I'll also use black cardstock to make my pop-up card. So I started with a 5 inch by 7 inch piece and scored it in the middle at 3.5 inches. Now I'll create the pop-up inside that card. So I'll use the die from 1207, the Twist Circle pop-up, and with the alignment nubs I can put that anywhere along the fold. So I'm going to put that near the top so that my moon can be up high in the card. I also need the other half of the pop-up, and that's this arm, and I'll cut that also out of black cardstock. All of the major die cutting machines will work with Pop-It-Ups dies. You just need to make a sandwich for a wafer thin die, and I am using a Sizzix Big Shot machine. Training the twist circle is really easy. Just fold the card in half, locate where the pop-up is. There's some diagonal score lines there, and you're going to just fold the mechanism over so that you can train those folds. And it's only going to want to fold in one direction because of the box cut on one side, so you'll see which side makes the most sense to fold towards those diagonals. But it's just about finding the fold, so you can return everything to its original position, pop those so that they fold into the card, and just close the whole card up. It's really such a simple little pop-up. It's just going to open and close now as the card is opened and closed. And all that's required now is to add the top portion of the mechanism. And that's what this arm is for. And you'll notice when you die cut it that it actually has a direction to it. It's cut as a diagonal and it travels from the upper left to the lower right, which is the same areas that have the flat spots on your base pop-up mechanism. There's a fold right up the middle of the arm, and then there's 2 little feet on the ends. And you just want to find and work those folds so that they're very easy to move, trained nicely. And then this little mountain is going to still travel from upper left to lower right. And those little feet will hook in there right behind the flat parts of your pop-up mechanism. So you just need a little bit of glue or some tape, something kind of strong underneath the feet, and just hook it in there and attach it right there so that the fold in the arm is right along that little cut edge of the pop-up mechanism. Get in there and just give it a good squish. Once your arm is attached onto the pop-up, then you can just open and close it, and you'll see that it is going to start twisting that little arm. As the card is open and closed, that little arm is going to twist up into position. And now I just need to get this pop-up card installed inside my backing card. Now, when you add a pop-up card inside a backing card, the adhesive always goes on the pop-up card, and that way you can avoid all the pop-up areas with adhesive. So I just need some double-sided adhesive tape around the perimeter of both sides of the pop-up card, maybe just a little extra just right around the pop-up. And then when I go to lift up this adhesive to add it inside the card, it's always a good idea to start with just one side. So it doesn't really matter which side, but just only peel up the tape on one side at a time. And that way that gives you the opportunity to have the other side not be sticky so that you can get in there and make sure that it's really lined up nicely in the fold, and then just press everything on. Now the other side is much easier because once it's installed inside the fold, you can just keep that card closed in the closed position and just close the card against the exposed adhesive. I'll be using dies today from number 1201, the Halloween Scene. So this is a great little 5 die set that includes this edge die that does a little graveyard scene. And I'm cutting that out of a silver cardstock, and I made sure that I did just grass out on the end where it's going to be exposed for the girly side of the card. And then I also used the grass portion of it, so the part that didn't have any tombstones on it, and cut that a couple times to create grass to go across the front of the card as well. So the idea here is that in the closed position, you have no idea that it's a Halloween card. I'm not going to glue my grass piece down permanently yet because I want to do a little positioning first. I want to figure out where my Eiffel Tower is going to go. I've done a glittered Eiffel Tower for the front of the card. And the idea is that there's going to be a moon that's going to be behind the Eiffel Tower, but it's actually attached to the twist circle so that it will pop up when the card is opened. So I'm just trying to figure out my placement. Now, one thing I thought would look cool would be to have this ring that comes out of the twist circle set on the front of the card, but I want to make sure that I do get it into a good circle. So I'm going to temporarily put back in the piece that was die cut out the middle of it so that I can use that as a guide to make sure that I press down my ring in a circular position, and then I can just reach in there and take out that guide. Inside the card, the big moon is going to be attached to the pop-up platform, so I just need a little bit of adhesive out there at the end of the platform to hold the moon in place. And rather than just eye it, I'm going to use the closed position to help me make sure that I get it nice and centered around the circle, the ring that's on the front of the card. So I'm just holding it into a closed position, pressing it against the exposed adhesive that's on the pop-up platform, so when I open it, it will pop up. And when I close it, it goes right into the perfect position. The reason I had just temporarily put the grass down is because I actually want to stamp a greeting onto it, so I want to be able to take it off of there to do the stamping. But first I want to get my Eiffel Tower in position, so I'm going to just attach the Eiffel Tower to the grass for now. And that way I can take the whole thing off of there to be able to stamp it and then put it right back into the position where it works in the card. So I'm just going to stamp the Just a Note to Say. So this is from the Just a Note clear stamp set. And then once I've stamped it, then the grass and the Eiffel Tower can be attached to the front of the card. So for the Eiffel Tower itself, I actually die cut it using the Eiffel Tower pop stand die set and then just glittered all the pieces. Now, since I attached some things to the acetate, when I open the card into the Ghouly side of the card, I'm going to see the back of that Eiffel Tower, which is pink, and the back of that ring, which is white. So what I'll do is I'll just die cut those items again out of more ghoulish colors and just line them up inside the card to cover the back of what you're seeing through the acetate. And I think on the ring, I'm not going to go all the way into the card. I'm just going to use the portion that covers up what was showing through from the front. So I'll just snip that off and remove it. So I added a dark Eiffel Tower inside the card, and now I'm going to embellish that further with little spider webs from the Halloween scene set, and I'm going to cut those down to fit right on the Eiffel Tower so that no part of the web is going to be visible on the girly side of the card when it is closed. So here's a little trick for figuring out how much of the moon is hidden in the closed position and where that is. So what I can do is I can take a little piece of temporary tape and reach inside the card while it is closed and just add that tape right along the edge of what's visible. Now you can't see it in the video very well, but I could certainly see it when I was crafting. Now I have a piece of tape on my moon, and I know not to cross that tape with any of my embellishments, any of my spooky embellishments, or else they will be visible when the card is closed. But as long as I stay below that tape line, then I know that they will not be visible. So I've added my spooky branch and my bat. But another place I can put a bat is actually on the moon up behind the Eiffel Tower, where it's going to cover it in the closed position. You're not going to see that bat, but then when the card is opened, it will fly up in the air attached to the moon. So all I need to do now is add a greeting in the space that is opened up when the moon moves out of the way. So I used some partial inking to adapt the Bonjour clear stamp so that it would be more suitable for Halloween with Bonjour. And then I also stamped a little spider over the top of the J. Speaking of spiders, I used the spider from the Halloween scene set and added some black rhinestones to the body and the head to give it dimension. And I assembled a Midnight the Bat, and I'm just going to attach that inside the card, and I'll put it up here in a location where it's not going to be visible when the card is closed because the moon will hide any portion of him that would be sticking out into the transparency area. I've tied a piece of elastic to become a closure for the card. So I'm just going to stretch that around the card, making sure that the knot is on the back of the card. And then I've got a piece of cardstock where I've added double-sided adhesive, and I will use that on the back of the card to anchor the elastic so that it stays attached to the card in the back. But then, of course, the front section I will be able to take on and off to open the card and then to keep it closed. So here is my finished card. I did add a few glitter lines on the front of the card just for some extra sparkle. And I love how different the outside and the inside of the card are. It really is quite a hidden Halloween card.
Well, I hope that you feel inspired to try this for yourself. If you need to know about any of the supplies I used in today's video, you can find them in the description box on YouTube, along with a link to the blog post. If you follow me on Facebook, Karen Burniston Designer, you will be treated to daily inspiration. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you'll always find more ideas on my blog, KarenBurniston.com. Thanks for watching.